Hi, everybody. Welcome to Trauma Talks and Truths. If you're new here, I'm Nina Vasquez.
And I'm Dr. Isela Garcia.
Welcome. Today's topic is all about the sacred journey within. We're going to talk, you may have heard us talk about this before. We're going to talk about what is the sacred journey, what's the sacred journey within, and just have a conversation, just have a chat. So we invite you to chat with us. And drop your comments, what's resonating, what's not, share any questions that you might have. And let's just talk about life, because that's what the sacred journey within is.
So Nina, tell me, I'm curious about this. So the sacred journey within, what has been your evolving, because I think it's evolving, awareness of your sacred journey? Like, what does that mean to you?
The word sacred is really landing in my heart right now. And, because we could just call it the journey within of life, but it really is very sacred to me. Because why? Why is it landing? I think it's because for a lot of my life, I was very unconscious to why I was here on this earth. And I was living, it's like almost like our video yesterday, like I had all the things, but I wasn't happy and I was suffering. And so I'm not saying that suffering is not part of the human experience, because we know it is at some, to some degree. But my journey going within has been an invitation for me to go in and look at all the parts of me that are not my highest self, that are not, that I have developed over time. And most of us, we are invited to go into those parts through our suffering, right? And things we want to change about ourselves, right? So if you're in the personal growth space, which that's where I was, personal development, personal growth, listening, watching, reading, we're going at that transformation from a level of trying to become something, right? Trying to,
or to feel better. I know that was mine.
Really, I just wanted to feel better. So that's where it started. But then whenever it turned into a sacred journey within for me, I realized that transformation is not for me. It's not trying to become something. It's trying to be unbecome all that I am not. And that has been very sacred for me. Yeah. So I don't know if I made any sense. And as if you guys are not new here, you know that Isela tells amazing stories and is a great teacher. But that's kind of how I would explain my journey of. I also want to say that even before I started to wake up, that was also sacred journey. I just didn't realize it was.
You said a couple things. I don't want to forget them. Let me write them down real quick.
Okay. Tell us what's here.
I think, because you talked about becoming, which I think is super, the unbecoming. I think that's super, super important. You said that you were unconscious. Okay. And then what did you just say now?
I just said even the part where I was unaware or not.
That was still your sacred journey.
Still my sacred journey.
Yeah. And then why am I here kind of thing. There's so much there, Nina. There's so much there. Okay. So let's begin with unconsciousness. We all start there. Like we come into this life, into human form, and we come into human form to have this experience. Now, on the other side, and there are lots of different perspectives of this, and what people will often say is that in this experience, we are actually in the dream, that we are asleep on the other side, and that this is the dream. And in the dream, and people will say that we are a hologram, that we are avatars. There are lots of different perspectives of all of this. Now, we come here with a plan, a general blueprint. So it's a general blueprint. It is not like everything that you're supposed to experience was decided on the other side. But we come here, it's heard people also say like a video game kind of thing, like we are playing a game here. And we come in believing that this is the end all be all. And I think that's what's a super big deal, because we think that, like, especially when we lose someone and they cross over, the sense of loss and grief, not that that isn't valid, because we have important relationships and memories and experiences with this individual, but just the notion of them like transitioning is so damn fearful, or people are so afraid of their own demise, their own death. Like this is it, folks. How many times have we heard you only got one life, right? Live
You only
it to
get
the
one.
best of your ability. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the biggest aha moments. It's not really the awakening, but it's awakening to the understanding that you are more than this human experience.
Mhm.
And even when people say I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, I don't think you really understand the brevity of that. Like, you are so much more than what you see in the mirror when you look in the mirror every day. You are, I am, everybody is. And so we all start at this unconscious level. We just don't have, and even intellectually, when I say that, I don't believe we have a clear understanding because of the limitations of our thought system, of
Oh,
our brain, to truly grasp how incredible we are beyond this time and beyond this space. And we are combating against social conditioning. We're
mhm.
combating against not only trauma, but like, how many of us have been taught to stay small, be small? Like there are things that we adopt as a part of our beliefs. We have experiences to validate these beliefs. And so it's almost like the two trains are running parallel to one another and they're unaware. So we've got our sacred self, the truth of why we're here, who we are beyond this time and space, who's giving us information. And people will say, I think I probably should talk about this a little bit.
Yeah.
Highest self. How many people have heard highest self? I remember the first time I heard that, and I was like, who the hell is my highest self? Like, where is that located? Who am I talking to? Like, is that my soul?
Mhm.
From my soul? Is my soul connected to me? Is it not connected to me? Like, I don't understand what you're referring to. Hi, Anessa.
Hi, Nessa.
And so your highest self, okay, and I think I've explained this before in a prior video, but I really want to do like a whole segment, maybe not here, maybe I just do the thing. But so there is the all that is, right? That's, some people refer to God, some people say the universe, the collective oneness. There are lots of terms that we use for the all that is, okay? And in order for the all that is to know itself, it's separated. Okay. And we are part of that separation. We are not the only part of separation, though. Like, there are other entities from other places that are also part of that separation, as are the angels, as are the guides. Like, they're all part of the separation. And God, universe, is actually moving through us to have this experience. The us is a persona that's driven by ego. Okay.
Mhm.
And there's nothing wrong with ego. There's nothing wrong with ego. Um, the thing that we need to remember is that we are still in union. Even though there is the separation, we are still part of that oneness. And where it gets wonky is we believe that we are independent of the oneness. So we come here to work on remembering. So the word is hyphen member. So remember our truth, which is source. That source is within you, source is within me, source is within every single thing in this experience, because consciousness created form, whereas our earthly perspective is that form came first and consciousness was born from there. So that's where there's a huge division in science. I believe in science. I'm not saying that science, but I believe in science in the context of the human experience.
Can you say that one more time? So not the science part, but the right before with the consciousness and source.
So we believe, from a spiritual perspective, that consciousness, which is all that is, came first. There was only consciousness. There was only God. And it is through the separation that we collectively created all that we see, all that we experience. So consciousness creates the form by which we see our bodies, all of the things. Consciousness created that. Consciousness is creating the bullshit. And I mean consciousness in terms of our collective consciousness from the separation. We are creating what we're experiencing in our life right now. We are creating that. Collectively, we are creating that.
So that includes like the ego.
Oh, yeah.
We had to see separation from business. Got it.
Yeah. Okay. And that's in large part what's driving this train in this. And then there's the whole parallels, right? Then there's the parallel universes, and then there's the timelines, and there are all the things that make this very, very complex, because we are a part of this multidimensional experience. This is not the only dimension. This is not the only experience. But in order for us to make sense of our form and where we are right now, we have this thing called science. And again, I am not a science denier. Like, I believe a lot about science, but I believe in science within the context of the human experience. And so what I mean by that is, in science, materialism is a big thing, where when you see objects, when you see things in motion, there's a way that we perceive it so that we can make sense of it, right? It's like we make sense of things based on what we know about whatever the object or whatever the experiences you're having. Yeah. So we believe that form came first and then consciousness came. Okay. And so that's where we have a differing opinion about things. So all this to say, so this is kind of just the overview. We come into this to remember that we are conscious, that we are God, that we are, and I don't mean like from a, I'm better than, because we're all the same. Yeah. There's no better than, but that we are God experiencing itself. So we go through this life, ups and downs and goods and bads and horrible and all of these things. And then all of a sudden, for some of us, we have oftentimes the dark night of the ego, where we have nothing else except to surrender. And I know many folks who will watch this will know this experience, where you're on your knees and you're like, I don't know what else to do here. I don't know how to navigate this any longer. I need help. I need something, because I'm barely hanging on, right? It looks very different for a lot of people. And sometimes it's that drastic. Sometimes it's over time. And sometimes it happens, it happens in little pockets of time. So everyone's experiences is just a little bit different. And we start to surrender, and we start to allow, and we start to question our existence. And I believe, in my personal experience and my connection to spirit, is that there is a memory of who we truly are in every single one of us. That memory is there intentionally to wake up, to show itself if we are willing. And sometimes it takes the dark night of the ego in order for us to notice that little memory within us. And once we spark that, what happens is you'll read a book, you'll see someone, you'll go to a workshop, and it's almost like an unlocking happens.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get a little information, and all of a sudden something happens where it resonates, and then more of your awareness opens up just a little bit more. And then if you start meditating and you start going within, you can start to unlock some of those things as well. That will be your ultimate way. But in the beginning, it really is like, oh, I just read this book and it's like amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't believe it said that. And I totally felt that. Like I knew that. Like, how did I know that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the unlocking. So you brought that up. You said it was the unbecoming. So the unbecoming is to get all the crap that we adopted as the human experience out of the way. We say, hey, I was abused as a kid. Thank you so much for that experience. It's helped me understand people better. Hey, it's like we go through this and we kind of release and we heal and we do all the body work and we do it. And we come to a place where we're like, oh, I am so much more than the bullshit I have endured.
And I'll add to that the bullshit I believed
Oh, yeah, big time.
about myself when those things happened to me.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you start to say, like, oh, shit, I don't know if I can cuss on this, but oh, actually, I thought I wasn't good enough my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was broken my whole life, but that was never true.
That was never true.
Yeah. And when that
It,
lands,
yes.
you will feel it feels like death. And this dark night of the soul you're talking about, Isel has actually watched me walk through a couple of them time periods. And I would call awakening, but when people say I went through a spiritual awakening, I don't identify with that yet. I know Isel would be like, yeah, right. Yeah. But like, I don't really have that story of like I went through a spiritual awakening. I think I'm walking through it now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I feel the same way as you. So when people go, I've had my awakening. Well, yeah, I've had moments that have rocked me to no end. I think the awakening journey is a lifelong experience journey, and some moments are harder and because that's the way we decided to learn, is
Yeah.
to learn the hard way. Collectively, we've decided to learn that.
Yeah.
I made a deal, I guess. I don't know if it's a deal, but I said to the universe, I was in my early 30s, and I said, listen, I am willing to act upon the whispers of the universe, but please do not send me a 2x4.
Oh.
I will listen to the whispers and I will act upon those whispers, which means I want to learn the easy way. I don't want to learn the hard way. But that means that when spirit tells me to do this instead of that, I don't question that.
Oh, I am stepping out of the part where I needed 2x4s and into the desire to listen and take action quicker and hear the whispers. Right.
So let's talk about what 2x4 means, because I don't know that everybody understands that.
Okay.
So I'm going to describe it and you can share an experience. Okay.
Okay.
So your highest self, that's where all this started from. Your highest self is still in union. Okay. So your highest self, a lot of people refer to this as your soul. Some people call it your oversoul. So your oversoul is still in union with source.
Mm-hmm.
So that oversoul is your access. And then there's a belief, because there's lots of beliefs that we tell the story from within, and they may all be true. And they may be true for you and not true for someone else, which this is what makes it phenomenal. But our oversoul kind of can break off to like 12 different experiences. And so there could be others of you, part of this soul, in not only this dimension, but other dimensions and other parallel universes, which is really fascinating. But you have access to this energy, this source, this knowledge, this awareness. And this source taps you on the shoulder and says, oh, do this. It's never like, oh, it's never like that. It's a gentle tap that nudges you in a direction, or, this passion that you have. Like maybe it's a passion to play piano, and it's a passion, and you don't play piano for the sake of playing piano. You play piano to share your gift with others. That's the nudge. It's not just you, it's to give. It's always to give. And you're like, oh, no, I can't play piano because my mother says I'll never make any money playing piano.
Yeah.
So I need to get a real job and a real education. So I'm going to shut that shit down because I don't have the support to be able to do that. And so we quiet that. And so we quiet a lot of these little nudges until we can no longer be quiet anymore. And some people do actually. Wayne Dyer said, don't die with the what did he say? You don't want to die with the song still in your heart, or something like that. Yeah. So tell us an experience of a whisper for you. You have one?
I'm wondering if I should share an active one, like present moment, or past. Let's go with past, because present I'm still working through. There's definitely a present one. I would probably say the biggest whisper that I ignored was to, number one, not get into a relationship. Number two, not stay in the relationship. Number three, end the relationship.
That's a lot.
Number four, we can go back to the relationship when you leave. Right?
So where did you hear? Okay, so here's like, you meet somebody, okay, and you start dating or whatever, and then you get like this, like, how did that come to you? Do you remember like how that came to you to not like get into a relationship?
No, I mean, I didn't see it till after the fact, right? I didn't realize that there was always a deeper knowing. I didn't know that or trust that or understand it, or but looking back, I could see that like I always had a knowing, right? And now I would not ever change it, right? This is not about that. This is just about awareness. Because one of the things, yeah, it's part of the journey. One of the things that's important in your sacred journey of life is that you begin to become aware. Awareness always precedes any kind of unbecoming, right? So I had to be aware that so I was married for 13 years. When I left my husband and moved to a different state at a certain point in the marriage, and I'm hearing an echo. Okay, maybe not. And I went back to him. I went back to him because I was afraid. Right? My ego said, you can't make it on your own. You have a child. You're not going to be able to do this on your own, all these things. And my ex-husband said all the right things. And I ignored the whispers of my soul.
Yep.
And my knowing. And I went.
I think it's like 99.9% of the time it's because of fear.
It always is. Ego. It's always fear.
Yep.
So there's only love and fear.
Well, there's only love. Fear is a figment of our own creation. It's false evidence appearing real.
Yeah, so delusional. It's a delusion. And it doesn't feel that way in the human experience, right? It feels like truth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was the biggest one for me, because it rocked my world because it had a cost, a heavy cost. And I don't want to say that I'm still paying for now. It's very egoic of my brain to come up with that thought because it almost said that now. But it came at a cost for me. I ignored and I got the 2x4 and I was on the bathroom floor, like you said. Actually, at the time, I didn't know anything else. I was praying to the God I knew. Why would you do this to me? Right? Right. So it wasn't like, oh, got emotional. I was like, why are you doing this to me? Right. Not, I created this.
Yeah, I think that is a very common reaction to, especially where we're in this unconscious state of awareness.
Definitely.
We do feel like things are happening to us. And I think the magic, because, I've had lots of ups and downs throughout my sacred journey as well. I think the magic is when you start to uncover how it's not what happens to you, it's how it's happened for you. And I hesitate saying that sometimes because this is not about saying you drew in these horrible things that have happened to you. Like, I don't ever want anyone to think that, but there are things that have happened for lots of reasons that play out here in this space and time on Earth, on our planet, that were bad, that should not have happened. Particularly, I mean, I think about the abuse, right? Should not have happened. And they did. And I can choose how I'm going to experience that, reflect upon it, and what I will do with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, we don't want to be in the practice of like, you attracted this abuse to you.
Right.
Right. How insensitive is that? Right. I've actually, I have had people say that. Right. Yeah. And if you're, I don't want to use the word awakened, but if you are deep in your pain, it can be a very challenging thing to hear because you just want to sock that person in their face, right? Like, it's like something keeps coming to me and it comes and it goes. And I'm like, I think I need to mention this. Woof, gone. Mention, woof,
Do
gone.
you know what it is?
I wrote down, remember, deepest, truest self. Has to do with the word within, I think. So for those of you who might not have heard so far yet, Isela and I put together a group coaching program that we're launching in February. We're calling it the Sacred Journey Within. And the word within is important here, I think, because we're all on a sacred journey, right? But the key word in our program is within, right? So we're going to be doing it in a group, but you're going to be doing your own work within, right? Within that group. And I think what I want to express is that we all have circumstances outside of us, right? Every one of us. But the journey is within. And so when you're looking at all these humans in the world, every single human you see has a journey within in their mind, body, soul, right? And I think we look at other people and we see their circumstances and we think that they like got it all together or something. And we all have a journey within, and we can go, oh, that's what it was. We can go throughout our whole life and ignore the journey within, right? And
that's the truth.
Yeah, it's not wrong. You don't have to. You don't have to start looking at, and I call it healing. I've stopped saying I'm on a healing journey. I used to say that for a long time, and I'm like, okay, this is the sacred journey, right? So anyway, what would you say to the within part Because I think that's what kept coming to me, but there might have been something else. But
I think we are all on a sacred journey. And whether we're consciously aware of it or not, as we shared, I think the ultimate journey is to the journey of knowing that you have divine, that you are a divine being that can access happiness, love, and peace,
Mhm.
because at the truth of who you are beyond this time and space, at the level of the soul, that is what you are.
Mhm.
Like, it's not, I'm going to go back to your, I think you used unbecoming.
Mhm.
Um, this notion of like how much I've grown, and even just the word becoming, like who I'm becoming, I think is all wrong.
Mhm.
I think we are coming back to the awareness of truth, which is love, peace, and happiness. It's everything that expands what that love is, in terms of the expansiveness that love can be. I think that, and we don't even have a deep understanding of what love is, which is a whole nother topic. Like, we have a very limited perspective of what love is.
Let's
But
talk about that another day.
yeah, we definitely need to, because I think we are very limited in that awareness, but we have access to that already. Like, it's not out there, it's within us.
Mhm.
So I think the sacred journey is the journey outward. We gather the information, we read the books, we go to the workshops, we watch the things, we like get all of this, and we do some work. We do the professional, the personal development work, we practice thought work, we do, like, there are things we do from an intellectual space to help prepare us.
Mhm.
And I think the next level is, now we've done all this, now the journey is an inward journey to access our personal power.
Mm. I really love that description. That's really powerful. And I would probably, if I had to reflect on where I'm at in that, is I'm walking into the next level.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those of you who are listening, and maybe some of this is really resonating with you and you're curious, I want to kind of share what Isela and I help you with as your guides in this, sacred journey within. We first have to become aware of all that is not love, all the parts of us, all the survival patterns, beliefs, um, um, nervous system responses. And this often shows up for you as like, you might say, I keep losing my cool with this person, or I'm defensive, or I have this habit that I don't like. It always shows up in like some, misalignment, dissatisfaction with yourself in some way, or parts of your life, or um, behaviors, whatever that is. So, in order for us to like go within in our sacred journey, we have to take a look at all that is not us. And that takes a process. It takes a healing process. It takes awareness first, and it takes some tools. And so that's what we are here to help you with. We are your guides. We are you. You are us, right? And what would you add to that? Because just in case something came up for you there.
Yeah, I think that in part we are, uh-oh, I heard echo. In part we are the information giving and sharing.
Mhm.
And then we're helping give you a GPS, so to speak. And so we're like, okay, here's your GPS. And you might notice that there's going to be a yellow house on the corner there. And you can make that right. And this is what you might experience. And if you experience these things, here are a couple tools that will help you be able to know what to do next.
Yeah.
And so, because we can only come from the level of our own awareness.
Yes.
And then I also have the thing where, I can connect with spirit, consciously connect with spirit. And that's what we're really helping you try to do, is to connect with your intuitive guidance.
Yeah.
And so there are tools that we can say and we can offer. Hey, you might want to try this, but that tool might not work for Nina, because Nina has a different experience, completely a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are there to guide, to support, to help you wonder, to help you question, to create your next level of awareness of whatever that looks like for you. And then, yeah, so that's kind of what we're
That's what we're doing.
that's what we're
And
doing.
I have to share this before we end, because I finally got the thing. The thing came back to me that I wanted to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So here's the thing. In order to open yourself up a little more to the idea of going within and healing parts of you that aren't serving you, we have to let go. This is very important, because I hear this from my clients all the time. We have to let go of this idea of, I don't want to blame my childhood. I don't want to blame my parents. I don't want to. I hear this all the time, because we don't know, we don't understand, we don't have an understanding about how the human being experience is. So I have to educate people on how important the early years of your life are. If I could change it to 20 to 25, I would, but I can't. That's not how the human experience works. So if you have this in your mind that, like, I just need to, like, I don't want to, look at the past at all. We don't want to live in the past, but in order to find out what's activating you or triggering you now, there are some times that we're going to have to look at that, and we have to let go of that story that, like, I don't want to blame my parents, or I don't want to, or, I should be past this by now, or all of those are just ego-driven stories keeping you from doing your, what we call maybe deep work, or whatever you want to call it. So I really that kept coming to me to say, to bring up here, because I hear it all the time, and even repetitively from my same clients that I've taught them about the early years of your life, and how our beliefs are created, and how our nervous system is formed, and how the human experience happens. And Isela is really, really highly educated about this in this area, and she brings a special expertise to us. Yeah.
I think part of becoming aware of your truth, like part of recognizing that I'm here having an experience, I am part of this oversoul, or like the deeper I, the highest, whatever we want to call that part that is still connected with the oneness, right? When we truly, truly grasp that concept, we can take a look at what happened with our parents as simply them doing what they knew how to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, I like, when I think of my mom today, I think of her from a place. Well, I have this thing that I do where it's like, I think of people as 4-year-old children. And then I think of, like, if you're 4 years old, you really don't know how to navigate the world just yet. And what you're looking for is love, connection, and affection, and to feel safe. And so I look at her from that lens of knowing that she did the best she knew how to do, given her awareness, her capacity, and her own life experiences.
Yeah.
She too was also looking for love, affection, approval, and connection, and to feel safe, but she didn't know how to do that. So then how do I expect her to be able to do it for me? Right. And even though I endured a lot of horrendous shit, I know that she actually protected me more. Even though you think about it, you're like, really? But yeah, like, she had it worse than me.
Mm-hmm.
So there was some level of protection that she put into place. So I think she thought that she was doing better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And so I look at that and I'm like, yeah, that's an experience that happened. That's an experience that happened.
Yeah. And I will say, if you're listening to this and you're feeling a little bit of activation by what Isela just shared, it's a beautiful place to be that she is. And on the way there, I will share with you just a little snapshot of what that looked like for me. that process getting to where Isela is now, especially for my father, it looked like lots of emotion. It looked like heavy emotional release, anger release, allowing myself to feel all the things that wasn't peaceful, right? To get to the place where I am now, where I do believe that everything you said about my own father, but I want you to know what that looks like in real time. And it doesn't look like spiritual bypassing or bypassing your emotions. It looks like, you know what? This afternoon, I'm doing the anger release because I'm angry, right? And then on the other side of that, I feel regulated and more peace, and I'm removing those lower vibrational energies of anger out of my body. And then now I can get to the place of peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, because
Mhm.
yes. And just a reminder, like I've been doing this for 30 years.
Uh-huh.
So, 20 years ago, when I was in the depth of feeling all the weight of the pain, the depression, because that I dealt with for many, many years,
Mhm.
um, the feelings of hopelessness and helplessness that would continue to creep up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's a journey. There's a journey into the experience. And I have to tell you that one of the biggest things that I've taken away from part of my journey is courage is always available.
Oh, yeah.
Courage is always available. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of courage to take that next step. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here. That's what we want to provide, a community of support so that you can find that courage within you, because we can't give it to you.
No.
Yeah, find the courage within you to just take that next step forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in joining our community that we kick off in February, in below this video, we will share the link to get on the wait list, so you can kind of get our updates as soon as they happen, and when the doors are open, you can be the first person to hear about it.
Yay! I'm super excited. This will be an awesome, awesome experience. All right, everyone. Have a good rest of your day, and we will see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye.